How's it going there, guys? It's Kyle with Dirt Bike Channel. I just wanted to show you this footage from a ride we took in southern Utah. This ride was directly after I had the suspension on this KTM 300 XC-W TPI completely revalved with Race Tech suspension from the guys over at MotoXperts in Spanish Fork, Utah. And this is my first ride on the bike, first few minutes on the bike, and we did 2 days riding, and I rode this bike a lot. And I will go on record right now to kind of give you a sneak peek and say that this is now, after those guys did the work on it, this is now the best handling and best balanced 300 XC-W I have ever been on. And then with the combination of the motor, this TPI motor, it is the most well-rounded 300 XC-W I've ever been on. And this bike will be very, very tough for me to get rid of. So I'm going to let you in on some of my initial thoughts here as I was just starting to ride the bike.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm on the 300 XC-W TPI. I just had the suspension revalved front and rear from MotoXperts out of Spanish Fork, Utah. Kevin, Egbert, Cameron, those guys, they hooked me up on this bike with some sweet revalving. So right now I'm just trying to find a sweet spot. I've done a couple of clicks on the rear shock that I think have helped me on my swap out problem. I was swapping a little bit on some of these whoops back here. It wasn't on camera. Oh. Yeah, listen to that sucker sing. Yeah. So anyway, Kevin's like, you know, we can make that bike handle a lot better. There's some of the things about the W suspension that I don't love, and he was like, we can make that better. So that's what we were attempting to do. Now we've got a Husky TE300i here that I haven't ridden yet. It's my bike, but Sam's putting the first hours on it. I'll ride it later today, and then we'll be able to kind of compare at least the forks on this bike to the stock Husky. You know, not completely apples to apples because the Husky has linkage, but then again, what I asked them to do is make this W more like an XC. I didn't want him to go full desert on this bike because this will still be mainly like a mountain single track style bike. But yeah. Flipping around. Okay, so I've swapped over to Tyler's 2019 250XC to kind of get a gauge on how it handles compared to the 300 TPI that I was just on. And I've ridden it for just a second before this, for a couple hill climbs, couple descents. And I just have to tell you, I like the 250XC. I don't like the 250XC. I frickin' love the 250XC.
And the interesting thing about that is with the suspension revalve that happened on the 300 XC-W TPI, it became a lot more similar in feel and balance to these XC bikes from KTM. So that I'm super, super ecstatic about. In fact, they made it more stable at speed. And the funny thing is, I didn't even tell them to make the 300 XC-W into a desert bike like what we would need out here. I said, let's bias this more towards a single track bike for the mountains, because that's what I really want it for. And so it's kind of like the best of both worlds now, because I think it's going to be phenomenal up in the tight mountain alpine single track later this summer. But it still is just more than capable, way more than capable of this desert single track stuff than any bike, any of the 300 XCWs or just any XCWs that I've been on prior to this. So I'm very, very pleased with the suspension, that Racetech suspension revalve that we did there with MotoXperts. So I was just super ecstatic about it.
I wanted to put my foot down, but didn't, because of those full lock turns I've been doing ever since I went with Graham Jarvis a little over a year ago. Been practicing full lock turns and stuff, which has helped my balance a lot, so I don't put a foot down. Let some of that dust clear a little bit.